Hello again. This is Monique Lynelle, and welcome to Monique Lynelle's Living with a Purpose blog. And I just want to say, hey, hey. So welcome to this Motivational Monday, and today's subject is it is faithfulness in relationships. So it sounds so simple, so easy, so matter of fact. Like, who doesn't understand that? Faithfulness in relationships. However, it's so many people that are divorced, that have broken up, that don't have the hard conversations while in a relationship, and then they meet their demise, right? So for me, faithfulness involves commitment to each other, commitment to the relationship, communication within the relationship. It involves respect. That means setting boundaries for your particular relationship. You need to know whether your partner wants to be monogamous to begin with. You need to know. I was married for 9 years, okay? I was in a 12-year relationship. So, how many of those years was my spouse actually faithful? I will never actually know that number, but he would know. I've been divorced for 20 years. I'm still looking rather kind of cute, So you don't really know how long ago, like, I really was with this guy back in 92. And I was a young John. And I wasn't supposed to have no boyfriend yet. But he wanted to lock me down quick. Early, okay? But we were like best friends for a while. Like, I mean, our relationship was like, we could talk to each other about anything. We would talk for hours. We had open communication. And we would do stuff together. We would go to movies. We would go places together. We would go to the mall. We were young, but we definitely had love there. We had real interest in each other. We wanted the best for each other, and that's like what I call like that pure love. You can't really get that again after you've already had it and lost it. It's not the exact same. However, in common, you know what that felt like. It was like just pure. It was innocent. It was like we found something special in each other, and we didn't want to be without each other in each other's life. And that's something that is rare in life to find. Things took a turn when we started to get older, and we had responsibilities, and we had things that we had to take care of. And when we met devastation and things that were hardships, how we dealt with it determined the trajectory of our relationship. And at the end of the day, we didn't have God at our center. We weren't able to pray with each other. We both weren't spiritually mature in the same religion. We were not going towards the same direction. I was already saved. However, in common, some things I went through as a teenager pushed me away from God, because I looked at what people were doing, being a minister's daughter, and I just didn't like how some people treated my family, how my dad was treated as an interim pastor, how he was treated as a minister when he really was trying to do what God had told him to do. I just felt like people mistreated him, and that affected me. And my faith was very small. At the same time, it was tall, because I knew who God was, and I knew what he could do and what he was capable of. But long story short, I had to realize that God was separate from how people treat me. I had to realize that that's not a reflection of God. if they're doing evil, because God's not evil. He has plans to do good, not evil. So Jeremiah 29:11 talks about that. And it's just like when you don't have those things set in place, because I was still in a hurt place. So I clung to my relationship, but I didn't cling to God first. And moving forward, I never want to do that ever again. If my God can't be in my relationship, I don't need that relationship. So at the end of the day, that makes a big difference. And some people in this generation feel as though it doesn't matter. We're all just people, and we can just figure it out, and you can believe what you believe. And then if we have kids, they can believe, they can choose. But if you have a 4-year-old, like, what are you teaching? What kind of values, what kind of morals are you teaching them? When you have a 2-year-old, what kind of, like, they're not old enough to really choose. You have to train up a child in the way that they should go, and then they won't soon depart from it. But if you don't, you're just saying they can make their own choices, then kids without boundaries and without being told and being trained will be wild, loose. They don't have any boundaries. They're not going to know when they should stop, what should be happening in their life, because they aren't given a value system or morals. So at the end of the day, God is important to have in the center of your relationship. When I talk about faithfulness, if somebody doesn't understand what faithfulness looks like, if they never had a man in their home be faithful to their mother, they didn't see it every day. I did. My parents were married for 36 years before my dad died. Legit, both of them had me while they were married, and they were 25 years old. I'm the youngest of 3, and my brother and my sister are older than me. My sister, my parents had her at 18. My brother, he came when they were 21. When I was born, they were 25. At the end of the day, both of my parents were deceased by 55 and 57. So it's like they lived their life, but they were married. They were committed to each other. They were best friends. They trusted each other. They were very different individuals, but they worked together. My dad was like, he was very into sports, and my mom was like the cheerleader. She was great at admin. She was very nurturing. She liked cards and sending people stuff and doing all of it. She got their LLC together. She got their the nonprofit together. She did all of that organization stuff. She loved nice papers and all kinds of stuff. But my dad wasn't like that. But he would show up. He would show up to a game. He would show up. He would show up if you were performing. He would show up. Right? And sometimes people haven't had that in their life, to see a man show up. That's like half the battle. My mom would want to stay in the house. My dad would want to go to work. He always told us, if you don't work, you don't eat. You have to have done something with your life. So either you at work and or you're in school. And if you're not, then you're doing something to build your own. You have to be doing something. So in a relationship, people act like it's so much work, but you put work in business, you put work and all these other relationships that aren't your spouse or your significant other, your friendships that you've had, your boys from how many years ago, your girls from this organization. You put time, effort into those relationships and never call it work. But when people get married or think about marriage, they think it's such hard work. When really, if you think of it, this is the biggest business that you're ever going to have. And this needs to work for everything else to work. The same way you have a relationship with God and you seek him when things go good or bad, is the same way you need to think about, okay, This next relationship is my significant other, and they need to be a part of my life. If you don't want somebody else to be a part of your life, you shouldn't think about having a relationship with anybody. You need to get right with you. If you don't want to share anything, if you don't ever want to talk to anybody, if you don't ever want to go anywhere with anybody, ever, you should not get into a relationship. If all you're committed to is your video games, if all you're committed to is things that you can do that's by yourself, and then when somebody's with you, you act like they're not there and you're still by yourself, then you have to do some self-reflection, because everything can't be about you and everything can't just be about them. It then becomes about you both. And to be faithful to something, you have to set parameters and boundaries. And when people set those for your own relationship, then you know it's going too far. If you're with me, I don't need